There's a new mayor in town. After being sworn in earlier this month, New York City Mayor Eric Adams repeated to CNBC his intentions to make the city a Bitcoin and crypto hub, saying, "I want New York City to be the center of that technology." The mayor has pledged to take his first 3 paychecks in Bitcoin. His enthusiasm has encouraged crypto companies like Chainalysis and Ava Labs to stay in New York, according to Reuters. Joining us now to discuss is Muneeb Ali, co-founder of Stacks, a proof of transfer blockchain that runs parallel to the Bitcoin blockchain, and CEO of Hiro, which has helped develop NYCCoin. Hello there, Muneeb. So through Hiro, you've helped create Miami Coin, NYCCoin. Have you had a chance to talk to the mayor on his ambitions to make NYC a crypto hub?
Yeah, so I think Hiro is a dev tooling business, and all sorts of developers kind of like use the tooling, and any open source developers who kind of like work on these Miami Coin and other projects as well, they also use our tooling. I've come across the mayors in like some random meetings, but not a lot of kind of like direct discussions about their plans.
All right, stepping back then, many folks are in Miami for the North American Bitcoin Conference right now. They're hosting Bitcoin 2022 in April as well there in Miami. New York has the BIT license, and often it's seen as restricted for crypto companies to operate. But do you think, can New York ever catch up?
Yeah, I mean, that if there's like one request I could make to the mayor, that would be the first action should really be that putting some sort of effort behind getting rid of BIT license. I think that is one really old and clunky piece of legislation that is hurting a lot of New York crypto businesses.
All right. NYCCoin and Miami Coin have generated tens of millions of dollars for their respective cities. Can you give us an updated breakdown of what the numbers are?
Yeah, so I think all that information is public. So just like Bitcoin, there was like a mining only type of a launch for these efforts. And I think anyone can kind of like track what is the current status, because part of how the mining over here works is that there's a donation that automatically is made to a treasury for a city. So in terms of Mayor Shores, like he's very forward looking, he officially got a vote done at the local Miami government level to accept the treasury. And that's a very interesting thing for Bitcoin, because the treasury that Miami has is actually a Bitcoin yielding treasury. They can actually earn Bitcoin on that treasury. And Shores is actually kind of like pledging that Bitcoin to the citizens of Miami, and he's going to help onboard a lot of residents of Miami to Bitcoin through that, which is, I think, is an excellent outcome for everybody. In terms of the size of the treasury, I think maybe the last time I looked at the website, it was approaching like close to like $30 million or so.
Okay. And do you have numbers for NYCCoin, how much that may be generating for the city of New York?
I think the last time I checked, New York was probably even has probably a larger treasury than Miami, but I'll have to go back and double check. I'm not directly involved with these projects. Like these are community projects that are basically building in the ecosystem.
I wanted you to weigh in on the Web3 debate as well. Jack Dorsey and Elon Musk are calling it BS, basically, that it's not decentralized and it's increasingly controlled, becoming centralized by VC money. What are your thoughts?
I think it's like the classic glass half full and glass half empty type of a thing. I tend to focus more on the new capabilities that are being enabled by Web3 that were simply kind of like not possible in the Web2 world. And yes, if you kind of like start looking at some of the potential problems, there is a potential issue where some projects can get overly centralized, either through the way that token distributions were made or how much of the tokens were kind of like given to early investors at discounted rates and so on. So I think some of those issues are real, but I don't think those issues are what define Web3. I think Web3, the possibilities there and the possibilities of actually building an internet where users have much more control and users have much more options, I think the benefits are far greater than the attention that they're getting. And the issues are not something fundamental. I think those are things that people have made a bunch of improvements on, and they can actually keep improving on some of those issues.
Okay. I wonder if you could address some of the criticisms of Stacks as well. Some folks say that it is more centralized in terms of the ownership. Some people feel that it's misleading that Stacks associates itself with Bitcoin in marketing, that it advertises itself as smart contracts in Bitcoin, but the Stacks blockchain doesn't have any token representing Bitcoin yet. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, so I think let me break that down a lot. So first of all, Stacks is the only blockchain that has a direct consensus with Bitcoin, right? So it's a cross-chain consensus. Stacks actually cannot exist without Bitcoin. So it's the only blockchain that has a direct cross-chain consensus with Bitcoin. You can actually interact with smart contracts just by doing Bitcoin transaction. And that is the most pure form of kind of like smart contracts that you can bring to Bitcoin because nobody wants to change Bitcoin. Nobody wants to modify Bitcoin to actually change the Bitcoin base layer to introduce smart contracts. So it's basically the purest way of directly bringing smart contracts to Bitcoin because you're turning simple BTC transactions. If let's say you want to use a lending application built through Stacks, you would just do a Bitcoin transaction and your collateral would be living on a smart contract on the Stack side, right? So in that way, like I think a lot of Bitcoin maximalists, sometimes they have issues with, innovative new ideas, especially if the ideas involve like gas tokens and new types of assets. So I think that's where the criticism of like, hey, this is just marketing. This is hardcore technology built by computer scientists that is actually helping grow the Bitcoin economy. And it is by far the project that has the most amount of real traction, both with developers and users right now. If you look at like some of the numbers, like I think there are something like 120 monthly active developers on Stacks, and there are something like 680 monthly active developers in all of Bitcoin. And if you look at the number of applications, like the growth in the applications on Stacks is just phenomenal over the last year, and basically dwarfs anything else happening. Bitcoin is something I'm very proud of in the Stacks ecosystem.